Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saballet64, and welcome to the RoboCast, the win and you're in week. I'm joined alongside.
And it's no 132 the Rebels Guru.
Steve's gone.
And Steve's cut out. God damn it! It was all going so well. We have two guests this week. Joining us. Introduce yourself, guys.
I am Mitch, otherwise known as TheOrcCorp. I run the Robot Arena 2 series, Orcs Wars.
And guest number 2.
And I'm Dave Moulds from Team Carbide.
First of all, Mitch, for the first time this season, welcome back. It's good to have you back on again. Obviously, these days, not just Orcs Wars, you're just like Oliver last week, you're part of the ESC podcast.
That's very true. I forgot about that.
What do you obviously, Orcs Wars is your own thing. What do you kind of prefer doing at this point? Is it kind of something different, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of editing work which tires me out, but I mean, I enjoy them both. Like editing Orcs Wars and having the whole tournament feel, that's pretty cool. And then ESC is just a barrel of laughs anyway. Of course we had you on last time. That was amazing.
I know. It was. That was massive. Yeah. Steve's back as well, by the way, guys.
Yeah, I am here. Steve, the American Killjoy, is here. I am currently on a train, and I'm doing the best I can.
Sounds like you're in a toaster.
It seems like I'm always traveling when we're doing these things, and I super apologize, but I'm going to try to be here as much as I can. If I get cut out, I'll just hop out, hop back in. I'll try my best.
We'll do what we can. We'll do what we can. And obviously, Dave, obviously getting to the bubble, one of the many bubble teams this season. We kind of happy with that as a result. I mean, obviously, you ideally want to be in the top 8 outright, right? But
yeah.
No.
I mean, to go out to Minotaur is pretty awesome, really. That's if you're gonna lose, that's a good way to do it. And to take them to the judges and have them worried, that's a really good way to lose. So yeah, we're happy with the performance overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I think you've certainly turned some heads this season. I think there'll be a big target on your back going into next season potentially. But obviously, we'll get to your fight a little bit later on.
Yep.
We'll start off though with Valkyrie and Quantum. What a great driving match from Quantum. Brilliant stuff from the Coopers. Excellent.
It was a really good driving fight, even when they lost their tooth.
I know.
It was...
Just clamping down with their mouth. It was all they needed to do.
That was it. And they took a couple of huge...
Just gone. You sorry.
No, it's okay. You go ahead.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it was a very bizarre... A very bizarre matchup because you had an undercutter versus the clamping, crushing jaw of Quantum, and of course, I had Valkyrie down to win.
Yeah, same here.
I was very wrong with that, but
Lol.
don't laugh at me. It was interesting though because I've not really watched the Chinese robot competitions properly, so watching Quantum utilize its driving so well, I was like, God, this is bringing me back to the Razor days. This is fantastic stuff. So it was a really good match.
Yeah, obviously, Dave, you kind of know the Robo Challenge guys fairly well. Were they worried going into this one?
Yeah, I think they worried before every fight. I think everyone naturally does, but obviously, a big horizontal spinner is not an ideal matchup for a crusher that's built like that. So if they get around the sides or the back, there's not really a lot to Quantum. It's all really thinned out, so yeah, they're worried about getting hit on the side. I think, like you say, it just came down to driving at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think they were. They absolutely bullied Valkyrie right from the start, and they just kept on top of them, which is what they needed to do, and ended up getting the big W and getting into the top 16, which is quite a turnaround, really, when you consider halfway through the season they took a pasting from Lockjaw and Death Roll. I think, considering that, they've done a really good job to turn it around.
Yeah.
Anderson.
You guys have pretty much summed it all up. But I will say this, that it's quite unlucky that they landed just in the screws at the right point to get stuck in there.
Yes.
So they couldn't actually return back around again. It's just, you had to feel slightly bad for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel bad for Valkyrie because obviously they've had a decent season, all things considered. They've clearly worked on a lot of the issues that they had last time around. And throughout the season. Yeah, absolutely. They're absolutely there on merit now. So we'll have to wait and see. The future's bright for that team. But How far do we see Quantum going? Obviously, it's not far away to find out, but what do we think? Do you think they've got a chance now? I mean, they've clearly improved. Changes to this new wedge format's kind of helped them quite a lot. Obviously, with the
problem with this season is it's too difficult because you don't know who they're going to face.
This is true. This is very true.
I mean, it's like, no offense to them, but I can see Hughie beating them just simply because what can it grab?
That's very true.
Fight Force, as we know, is daft, so that's probably going to be.
It's just such a who's who. I mean, it does very much depend on who they get. I mean, the potential's there. Clearly, we've seen it in this fight that if they can get on top of an opponent and keep driving around them, then they are really tough to beat. And it's such a good machine, but it does depend on who they get and how well they start off against them. Really,
I think with
they really need to. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mitch.
I think with Quantum, it really depends on the driving because
that's exactly what I was going to say. So I don't even.
Hey, there we go. Great points, think alike. Because yes, the jaw is very good at piercing. We saw what it did to Blacksmith and how they got stuck. But compared to the spinners and the flipper of Hydra, I think it's more about maybe the weapon. If we can get it in, great. But if not, then it's all about how well we can outdrive the opponent.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
I very much agree with that. I think if Quantum is driven well, it can beat anything. But if something gets around to those sides, it's gonna have a hard time. It took a lot of hits to the wedge in this fight against Valkyrie, and I think it really benefited it. Aside from losing the tooth, which was really unfortunate, but I expect them to do well. Let's see who they're facing first, and then I'll make my determination.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll make my prediction after their next fight.
Very good, very smart. I suppose we'll move on to Yeti and Duck. It's two machines that tend to not die. Really. And funnily enough, it went 3 minutes. How about that?
And two machines don't like to knock the other robots as well.
Some children.
The way that this fight was only going to go one way. It was going to go the distance. There was there was nothing else that could have happened here. And I had a sneaky feeling that Yeti was going to clinch it due to Duck's performance so far this season. It doesn't seem to have that. We were talking with Hal before, where it seems to lose points on control, kind of flails around. Really doesn't have a damaging weapon, so it does have a hard time there. So if it doesn't use the box to its advantage at all times and maybe get a cheeky knockout. Sorry, Dave.
I was going to say...
You know what I mean? But that's the thing. That's the one thing on Duck's favor is if it doesn't get a knockout, it's really tough to win judges' decisions, and it's a shame because it's such a cool robot.
It doesn't die. I'll vouch for that.
I'll say this. It was for the first minute, I actually thought Duck was winning this. And then, as you said, Steve, the flapping around thing sort of happened a bit. And then Yeti started getting those important hits in, and of course, by the end of it, Duck was a bit knackered.
Yeah.
Still going, but it
was suffering, wasn't it? Definitely.
It was suffering,
Yeah.
It was looking a bit foul.
Duck got that really good lift in the beginning, and then after that, it was all Yeti. Great driving from Greg, and Duck couldn't catch up.
Yeti have really turned their season around. Like, at the start of the season, I think all three of us didn't think it would get in the bracket, and they've really. I think it kind of looks a bit like, I don't know how to describe it. It just doesn't look as good as the last one.
That just sums up like 50% of the bracket for us.
I know, but I don't know. I didn't expect it to do as well as it has done this time around. It just done it again. I think deservedly got into the last 16. I think as much as it's not, it's a bit of a shame to not see Duck get in there. Yeti is very, very deserving, and they've been their place.
That they had to fight for a spot.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have been in right. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say I do feel bad for Hal because Duck is an awesome machine and it does deserve a bracket placement. But at the end of the day, it lost to a better robot, and at least it was a good, solid, strong fight. So it wasn't like they just laid down and took a load of hits. They,
I'm very keen to see what Hal comes back with next year.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be something really impressive. It always is. Everything he makes is very impressive, regardless with how competitive it is. But I'm very keen to see the next iteration of Duck. I think it's going to be a nice machine. and be interesting to see if he can make something so the lifter actually works rather than just spins around, which he's mentioned before. So yeah, quite keen to see what he comes back with.
Yeah, I think it's getting to a point now where it's very nearly like it's obviously competitive anyway, but like there's just small things that haven't gone quite right in both seasons. And I think it's just a few tweaks, and it's going to be there or thereabouts, isn't it? I mean, it's certainly done a good job this year.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with this. Every time every team turns up with something, doesn't realise they could have done better with something until they're there.
Yeah.
But that's just the nature of the hobby, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the only way to test these things is to bash them into each other and see what breaks, and then improve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we all know Duck can take a right royal bashing. So
I mean, well, it's obviously Dave's testament to that at this point.
And it definitely doesn't duck the challenge.
no.
As for Yeti, obviously we've talked a bit about how Quantum do. Again, obviously I know it depends on the draw who Yeti get, but I think they're going to be. I think you wouldn't like to fight them at this point. I mean, they've only lost to Bite Force.
Yeah, they've proved to be very abominable.
Yeah.
They're looking pretty good.
Sorry.
So we come to our next fight, which was actually kind of almost foreshadowed in the Remile stream way back. It feels like ages ago. Well, I suppose it was, but
Just a touch.
Lockjaw and Skorpios. On that occasion, Skorpios in the live stream won. It was a vengeance
Perhaps
match.
controversially.
Well, Lockjaw died. Lockjaw died, and in
That's true, yeah.
on this occasion,
Donald wasn't upset at the end, I remember this.
yeah. But this time Lockjaw was just on fire. It was literally on fire, but it was on fire throughout the fight. It was just excellent. This was a masterclass. And it's not as if
It was
Zach...
just pure.
Go on.
No, you go ahead and ask it.
I was just going to say, it wasn't as if Zach was driving badly. It's just that Donald was driving better.
Yeah.
I was going to say that this is Donald. This is Donald in his prime, basically. This is pure brilliance from him. I was my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe just how well he was outclassed, because we know Skorpios is a well-driven machine.
Yeah.
We know it's an absolutely fantastic driven machine. So the fact that he was driving circles around it proves just how good Donald is. I mean, he's a legend of the sport. He's going to be, but I mean, this was a very nice battle to watch for me. Someone who likes his driving.
It was great. It was absolutely fantastic. Go on, Mitch.
I was just going to say, it was an absolutely fantastic driving match. I went for Skorpios.
Yeah, same.
Just because, as much as I love Lockjaw, I love Donald Hudson, Lockjaw does like to burn itself out and stop the weapon working. But damn, Lockjaw, proved me wrong. I'm very happy it did. I was going to say this earlier, but I think now I'm at Skorpios, it's a good time to say it. Valkyrie, Duck, and Skorpios, the three robots out on this fight card, I really feel sorry for, because they did so well last series, did so well this series, and they've
Just
missed out just again.
Yeah. They're getting closer. I mean, obviously, Skorpios this season, they nearly had a perfect record. Obviously, Uppercut kind of paved the way and finished that, but it was so close. They had such a great start, and it's such a nice machine, and I'm guessing we can't see more of it, because they've done a great job once again with Skorpios. But I mean, Lockjaw.
I just want to bring one like little thing up, the crab walking thing again. Now I'm sorry, but that thing was moving all around the arena. Okay. It was going around. Not being funny. Bite Force earlier on was deader than that against Yeti, and they weren't counted out. I'm calling BS on that, but that's just me.
I can't remember who it was earlier in the season. We spoke to someone, and they said that at the end of the day, it's also a TV show, and at the end of the day, I think Lockjaw was dead. It was your own. That was it.
Oregon, yeah.
He said that he said at the end of the day, it is a TV show, and if Skorpios is not in full control, which it wasn't, and Lockjaw didn't have a weapon, so on and so forth, it's not. It's just bumping into each other, which I get, but at the end of the day, Lockjaw could have just burnt up and died. But I get what it is. I'll bring Dave in here. Like, what if you're in that situation? You're being counted out. Would you be very annoyed, or just kind of understand the situation?
I kind of understand it. I mean, if it went to the judges anyhow, it probably would have been Donald's.
Yeah.
On control. I don't think there was long of the match left, and it was getting a bit boring. So I can understand why they did it. At the end of the day, like you say, it's a TV show, so they've got to call it off. I think Donald was in control from the start, his wedge fork things are really good on that. So they damaged the front end of Skorpios, and once they'd done that, it was just all over. Really, they couldn't get under him, so they couldn't use their weapons. So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird role. I think they did the right thing there, but
Yeah.
hindsight's always a good thing, isn't it?
I don't know. I agree that they should have been counted out. I just think that it's not been very consistent throughout the season.
I think that's a good point.
Right.
Like, it's dependent on the situation, hasn't it? But again, not every situation is the same. It's a difficult one. It's a very murky kind of ruling, really. But it is what it is.
Plus, I guess it also depends on what the specific referee's thinking as well.
Yeah.
I suppose.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, different.
And you
opinions.
can't argue with the ref. Their decision was final, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to quickly ask one thing. Can Lockjaw win this year? I'm going to say yes, it can.
It has potential, but then again, everything in the top 16 has potential.
This is very true.
There's a couple robots that don't, but
I don't know. I just got a feeling that Lockjaw's on a really good run this year. That like last year when the Desperado, I was kind of like, it's not. It hasn't really shone for me this series. I'm looking at it. The more it goes on, the more I think, do you know what, this thing could actually win this. And wow, what a story that would be if they were able to come back from that. But we will see.
Yeah, they've only lost a Tombstone thus far, haven't they?
Yep.
Yep.
And that was, I mean, there was a simple driving mistake on that occasion that cost them, but we shall see who they end up with. We shall see.
I'd like to see Lockjaw win, but the reliability that's the big issue I can see. So
yeah, I agree. No, I agree.
Smokes more than the mask, It's,
Yeah, he's really pushing all his motor stuff to the limits. So it's definitely going to be a situation of can Lockjaw last against a really quality opponent. Like once we get to the top 16, where it's do or die basically. It's really important to make sure that robot doesn't die. One thing interesting about this fight that I almost forgot to say was that Lockjaw really took advantage of Skorpios' curved front on this fight, where usually that's something that they use to grab and kind of clutch people. Exactly, and Orion was telling us about the whole deal where like the disc kind of pulls it into the robot, but they completely use that curved section on that front to their advantage and just completely chucked Skorpios everywhere, and it was fantastic. And I feel bad for Zach, but I hope that team comes back next year with something even better.
Yeah, and they will do, because they're great guys, and obviously had a ride on last week. He was lovely, and it's great to see Skorpios do a good job again, because they've gone 3-1 in 2 seasons now. That's not many teams can say that they have done that. So fair play to them.
No.
We'll move on to 2 more 3-1 teams though, and this is a fight that really hurt me, because I would have loved to see both of these two, in the top 16, and they're 2 great sets of guys. Hypershock and Huge. What a, it hurt me that someone had to lose.
This early, they shouldn't have. Really, it's criminal. They
really
should both be in the top 16.
It really is. However, what a good fight they put on. It was fantastic.
And I was rooting for Hypershock. I love Huge, but I was rooting for Hypershock because Will deserves. He so deserves to be in the top 16.
Someone's eating their microphone, but I think the hype break came back to bite Hypershock this time, because I think part of it got stuck behind the spinner and it couldn't spin up, and I think that's.
I
what
was
cost
wondering
them.
if part of their weight too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do feel bad for Will, because they had such a good. Again, they've had such a great season. I think they only lost to Bite Force as well. So the fact that they just fell this hurdle kind of sucks. But I mean, Huge were great. Huge were fantastic.
And Will's driving though.
Yeah.
Will's driving though is fantastic. I mean, how often have you seen Roberts actually manage to control Huge from the side?
Not many.
Yeah, really.
There's not many.
Hypershock spent a lot of this fight underneath Huge, between the wheels, and was able to control. It was ridiculous.
It was so close. They were so close to getting him in the screws as well at the start, but they just couldn't quite keep him in there.
Yeah, Huge was definitely on the ropes a lot during the match, but as the match went on, Huge just started to slowly clamber on top like it always does.
Kind of like it did against Bronco. Kind of like it did against Bronco, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I like was that just getting that one hit that took off a whole wheel. I thought that was quite nice. That looked
was
pretty good.
very, very, very satisfying. Very, very satisfying.
And I haven't seen someone react that well to losing in a long time as well. So fair play to Will for that. He just started laughing.
Oh yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
What else did you do?
Yeah.
Will is so fucking annoyingly good at everything. He's really good at making stuff. He's really good at pit interviews, and he's really good at losing, and he's good at winning. So yeah, I told him, funny, he's a bit of a dick, and he just fell that. Like, how can you be this good at everything? He's like, oh. And he was really nice about it as well when I said it to him.
I mean, and he's got great fashion sense. The jackets. I mean, they're selling like hotcakes as well. I mean, it's just. What can you do?
Will's an awesome guy. He's exactly how he is in real life. Is how he comes across on TV as well.
Yeah, and his robot this season as well has been fantastic. It was really hard to watch Hypershock not perform as it should do last year, and seeing it this year just like way improved is fantastic, and I'm so happy for them that they managed to at least get some wins on the board and properly give it a good go. Falling slightly short at the end, but
to suck less, and then I mean that's really all there was to it.
Yeah, and they did suck less.
They definitely succeeded.
Yeah, absolutely. Credit to Huge. They did a great fight, and they as I say, they really came on strong towards the end of the fight, just like they did against Bronco. And they just seem to be on a good run of form at the moment as well. I think that's 4 wins back to back now.
Realistically, I can actually see Huge winning.
It's so hard to fight them. I mean, I'll bring Mouldy.
Apart from Son of Whyachi, which ripped their freaking wheel off.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, a lot of robots struggle to hit it.
Yeah.
And Huge is good at. It's just so durable this season. It takes hit after hit, and it grinds you down, and then it rips one of your wheels off and makes you laugh at your robot's death.
Yeah, basically.
No.
I mean, I'll ask you, Dave. How would you go about fighting Huge? I mean, is it something you can kind of charge head on and hope, or is it just really difficult to deal with?
I think we'd probably have an easier time than most people because our disc is quite higher, so we'd probably hit the centre body of it. Mm-hmm. If we did that, we'd probably be okay because it's only made out of like 3mm Hardox, I think, so it's pretty thin.
Yeah.
And everything's quite cramped into the actual robot itself is tiny, although it's called Huge. The actual, the square white section in the middle, everything's kind of rammed in there. So I think we'd be okay if we hit that. If not, then you just got to take the hits and see what happens. I think either way, you have to take that one initial hit off them. But it'd be kind of like Aftershock and Gabriel in Robot Wars.
Yeah.
Whereas, Carbide really struggled against it, but Aftershock just smacked the body, and that was kind of it. So I think larger verticals have probably got an easier time against it than most people. So
yeah,
I think we might be okay as long as we contact the body.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good point. Obviously, if you can hit the actual robot itself, then I suppose you've probably got a better chance than say most that can't reach it.
Yep.
Okay, we'll move on then to the only Rumble in this episode, and I think this is our first self out of the arena ever, because there's not many that have done it.
Does it count? Because I think they hit Railgun Max's egg beater. So
I just think, I mean, it was a great shot either way. Just flung it straight across the box and into the corner.
Across the box, bounces itself off the floor.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, the Rumble was between Railgun Max, Bloodsport, and Uppercut. And Uppercut kind of won by avoiding the action, which is exactly how you should play it. They played it perfectly, let the other two kill each other first, and then sweep up afterwards, which is, it's great tactics. And they how did Uppercut get in the top 16? What a wild world.
It is annoying, because, again, I wanted all 3 of these in there, because I love them all.
But Bloodsport, certainly dished out a big hit on Railgun. I mean, you saw the state of the side of Railgun Max after this, because it was in pieces. It was the wheels hanging off, the whole the cheese block at the front was ripped apart as well, and all Uppercut had to do was just kind of drift in and sweep up the mess, really.
Well, that was the thing. I was watching this with the Good Rebottle Boys last night, and of course, Bloodsport ooted itself, and then I was just watching Uppercut, just driving around, looking at Railgun. The other two could attest this. I was slamming my table, going, "Come on, just bloody hit it, do something."
I mean, credit to Uppercut. They've really turned their season. I know they had that kind of rough start. I think they showed the unaired fight. I can't remember, was it Tantrum they lost to? It was something like maybe Gemini. I can't remember. But basically, Uppercut really have turned their season around, and I mean, their reward is a place in the top 16, and fair play to them. They've really done a good job.
Absolutely. I think Uppercut's one of the more surprising ones that's got to the round of 16.
Mm-hmm.
Steve?
Everyone thought it was a joke entry, and it's proved us all wrong.
Yeah, the joke's now on us, I suppose.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It took the Warhawk method, basically. It just watched everything happen, and then just took in and just took the glory, which is fine. That totally works.
Yeah.
In a Rumble, you got to be tactical. Anderson, I'm sorry, but this is what Eruption did in the 10-bot Rumble. It just kind of
It did.
So,
just sat there.
It's a strategy.
Yeah, of course. If you die last, you win. That's how it works.
Yes, absolutely, and
doesn't have to be happy about it.
I can't just.
I'm going to give a big shout out to Railgun Max, because I don't know if you guys have seen the interview that's been uploaded just a second ago by BattleBots. But they clearly had a great time. For a Chinese entry to come over and just miss out on the bracket is a great achievement for them. Bloodsport again going 3-1 for a new team, fantastic stuff. Both of them have done a great job this season as well. But I mean, Uppercut. I mean, wow.
It's probably the biggest surprise, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like we mentioned, I say we. One of you guys mentioned Warhawk earlier. I definitely think Uppercut is the Warhawk of this season. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it does and how far it goes, if it gets far at all.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I was just going to say, this isn't me being harsh or horrible. This is one of the ones which I don't think will probably win. There's no offense to the team. I just think because
it's a big ask with the caliber of opponents they're going to get now as well. It's going to be a big ask for them. I'll bring Dave in. Go on. What do you think
about Uppercut in general?
I mean the fight and Uppercut, I suppose.
Yeah, it was a good match. It was a shame Bloodsport went out the way it did. I think Bloodsport was quite underrated.
Yeah.
When you watch it by the arena side, it's actually a really impressive machine. I think they were quite unlucky.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened to Railgun. Seemed to conk out, and it'd be interesting to see how Uppercut's fights go from here. Obviously, I can't say much because I've seen it all, but it'd be interesting to see how they come across.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to seeing how they get on going forward. It's going to be a big ask for them, but you never know. You never know. We'll move on then to probably the hottest topic of the Reddit forums and everything else at the moment, which seems to be Rotator and Blacksmith.
Well,
so for me, I have no problem with the decision at all. I think Blacksmith absolutely won the fight.
Agreed.
Oh yeah,
This is a-
definitely.
Because
This is a good example of how you can win a fight without having a weapon that's super damaging. You have to be able to dominate all the other categories, and
I think
that seems to be what happened.
they were massively helped. I don't think Rotator's wheel was working for the whole fight. I think that really helped them.
No.
If Rotator was
Yeah,
driving
they're
fully,
crap walking.
I don't see how Blacksmith would have won it, but they didn't. So I really can't see how anyone's got a problem with it. Blacksmith was controlling the fight, and they were the only ones driving towards their opponent. So
Yeah.
they got the aggression points. It has to be,
Yeah.
surely.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird fight.
I agree with the decision. I just, and this is again, there's no disrespect, but I just think that a couple of other robots might have been a better choice to have a second chance. That's just me.
Well, I mean, the obvious
funny, but-
omission in this whole episode, I know a lot of people have said, where's Gigabyte? Obviously,
Yeah.
we saw what Witch Doctor did to them. I mean, I don't know, how much damage that was. I think that was their second shell, and that got wrecked. And the underside of the machine, obviously, they lost a wheel as well. We remember from last season, I can't remember who said it, but someone said, like, when Tombstone took the lid off. If they'd have like caught them and just wiped them out, that could have been end of season. So
Yeah.
maybe they just took a bit too much damage. I don't know. Again, it's all speculation really, but Blacksmith took their chance. They really took their chance.
Glad they got it. Yeah.
Definitely an interesting fight. Like, I feel sorry for Rotator because, goddamn, they took out Tombstone and
They did.
they're not in the round of 16.
Yeah. Imagine that.
I do feel for them. But I'm very happy. I say I'm very happy. Happy's not the right word. I'm very. I can't think what word I was going to say.
You're pleased.
I'm feeling optimistic about Blacksmith because I think
There we go. Yeah.
they've proved themselves this year. The only thing I will say is I think on Al Kindle's Instagram or on the Blacksmith Instagram, I can't remember which one it is.
Yeah.
Post a picture next to Tombstone, so I'm a bit like, ooh,
That-
okay.
Dear me.
Well, that's what I call a teeth dryer.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I will say this as well. Like, you can see the reaction afterwards. Like, Al did not expect that at all. You can see it in his face. He's
Well,
just
yeah,
kind of
because
like,
he's been getting shafted by the judges all season. You know what I mean?
well,
It's oh he's come. He's come out on the wrong end of a couple of judges' decisions that maybe he thought he had a better hand up on, especially the Saw Blaze fight. I
yeah.
know he was very disappointed about that.
This one went his way though. I mean, Blacksmith in the top 16. What a weird year 2019 is.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Hey.
Blacksmith and Uppercut. I don't think any of us were expecting to say that in the same sentence, were we?
No, I do. Like I say, I do feel bad for Victor, but what can you do? It's one of those
This
unfortunate things.
episode is full of heartbreak. So I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, this is basically like BattleBots Wild Card Weekend. It just so happens that these are all one and done fights.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to go home.
Yep. Anything more to add?
I think Blacksmith won it fair and square. I don't think there's any real debate there. I haven't seen any of the online debate about it, but I think I only watched it just so. Yeah, I think they fully deserved it. So
Yeah.
fair play to them.
Keyboard warriors will say what they want.
Yeah.
To be
absolutely.
fair, apart from the opening 30 seconds, they dominated the fight. So
I think that's very, very fair. Speaking of dominations, I mean, this first of all, a kind of a rematch between Son of Whyachi and Caustic Creations. Obviously, this time it's Copperhead instead of Poison Arrow. It is Caustic Creations, isn't it?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm right there. Excellent exchange. Son of Whyachi was on point.
it's a monster this year, isn't it? It's,
And then, the first hit itself, where I think it was 2 or 3 hits you can see, it just launches it across the box like it's nothing. And the last hit as well. I mean, my mind was blown. The fact that they didn't out of the arena, but they basically did. They pinned it against the glass. Amazing, absolutely amazing.
that was basically a hole-in-one shot. It was
It
beautiful.
really was.
Yeah, it was a very, very, very lethal hit.
They seem to have sorted out their reliability this season.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I agree too.
They've kind of
Let them
been
down. Actually.
yeah, they've kind of hit a sweet spot, I think, with Son of Whyachi this year. I mean, they lost to Whiplash, and that was because they got flipped over, and Whiplash was driven fantastically in that fight. But I mean, Son of Whyachi is just very scary. No, hell no.
Yeah, I
can't
wouldn't
believe
want to
it.
be the team going up against them.
No, I don't think. I think they're one of the ones you really want to avoid now. But I do really want to see them fight Hydra at some point. Please, please,
Yes, we need that.
make it
Need
happen.
that.
Make it happen.
Versus brother.
It'd be quite cool to see it happen. I mean, I don't think it'll happen in the 16, but maybe a bit later in the bracket.
Mm-hmm. The Whyachi clan basically eat itself.
Yeah, there might be a bit of tactical.
I don't
Don't hit me too hard sort of thing. I don't know. We'll see.
It's possible.
And
It's
out of
possible.
nowhere, Warrior goes in.
No, God damn it. Let's not do that. Dave, obviously, watching on this fight, I mean, just like how good is Son of Whyachi? Like how much do you not want to fight that thing?
Oh, I'd really love to fight it. I think the ace. But,
He's a madman, guys. He's a madman.
Yeah, you got to fight everyone. But yeah, it's pretty savage. There's a lot of weight on those tips spinning there, and it's bloody quick. And it's the actual spinning diameter of it is absolutely huge as well. So the actual robot part of it, the bit that doesn't move, is tiny. It doesn't come across on TV, but yeah, it's pretty savage for a horizontal of that style. It'd be interesting to see what them versus Tombstone was like. You might get to see that. So yeah, I'd like to fight it at some point, but not early on in the competition.
Maybe like a semi-final, final kind of time. That might be preferable.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a beast. I wouldn't like to mess with it at all. It's just, I don't know. I wouldn't like to touch it. That's for sure. I suppose then, David, must come to your fights.
Yeah.
Minotaur. What did you think of the draw? Like, excited to fight Minotaur, or?
Yeah, it was kind of like there's no losing this match because even if you do lose against them, you still lost to Minotaur. So if you win, great. If you don't, then well, you could have lost to worse than that. So yeah, it was really good. It was a very intense build up to this match. We had to do a lot of work. We had a few late nights getting into this, but it was worth it in the end. It made it all worth it. So I know the best bit for me was the fact that we had Minotaur scared. So,
I mean, it's it's good. Like, obviously, it's always nice to get in their head, I suppose. But you changed the weapon this fight. You went for the sort of the bigger bite, wasn't it? I think you described it to me as.
Yeah, so there was two reasons for that. The one was so the disc itself was kind of experimental. Yeah. So we knew it was strong. It'd take a lot of hits, but we weren't sure how it'd hold up smacking into Minotaur's drum so much. So when we were against Endgame, we kind of bounced off the ceiling, and when we came back down, we actually landed disc to disc.
Ooh.
So we actually took a slight chunk off the actual tip of our disc, and we thought, because we had so much other work to do, we didn't have time to rebalance that weapon blade, so we just took the quicker option and put the other one on. So the actual skull was designed to fight Tombstone.
Oh.
So if we ever got drawn against them, we know Tombstone wouldn't damage that because it's like 35mm thick hard up. It's not going anywhere. So we use that as a quicker option. We thought it's going to have a bigger bite as well, which is good. But the lead up to the fight was pretty good. Like the kind of hour beforehand when you're kind of staged and you're ready and you've done your checks and you're just waiting to go in. Because Daniel, he was proper pacing around. He was really worried about it. And the fact that we had them scared was quite an honour for us, in a weird way.
Yeah, I mean, a team like that, it's always nice to know that, like, you've kind of, as I say, you're getting in their head. Yeah, yeah,
exactly. That they do take you serious enough to actually worry about it, to the point that before the fight, when we were backstage, when the fight before us was going on, those guys, all the Minotaur, were huddled around watching videos of our previous fights on their phone.
No way. Just trying to get any edge they could.
Just scouting.
I walked over and I was looking at them, and I got a video of American bullfighters when they're dressed as cowboys running around in a bull.
Yeah.
I got that out on my phone and put it over his, and they all burst out laughing and then put them at ease a bit. It was good, actually. There's a lot of camaraderie that went on that got cut out, but yeah, it was really good. But the fight itself was pretty intense. Obviously, we lost our wedge pretty early on.
Yeah.
And then once you've done that, you kind of we're on a losing streak then. But one pretty cool thing is I've got on my kind of table next to me at the minute is Minotaur's spike that we ripped off. So we did at least take something off him.
Wow. You're a small trophy to take home with you at least.
Yeah. So after that fight, they gave us a chunk of Minotaur that we ripped off with, and they all signed it, and we signed the front wedge of our robot that they ripped off and gave it to them, and yeah, it was good. It was nice.
Fantastic. I think you can see after the fight as well. Like you can see Daniel Freitas is kind of really almost drained after the fight. He just the emotion he poured into it. I think he was definitely scared.
Yeah, he was in tears after the fight and went up and shook his hand and stuff, and we went and had a chill out session after and got a drink and just chilled out. But yeah, it was very intense for both teams building up. They obviously had their problems getting their drum up to speed in previous fights.
Sure.
We had all the damage from Endgame to fix and all that kind of stuff, and the wedge, the wheels, and loads of other bits and bobs. So yeah, we both worked very hard for that, and it played off because it was a really good fight, made good TV.
Absolutely.
But the cool thing that I only noticed today was, so when they hit us, that massive hit.
Yes. Did you hit the roof, or do you not know?
I've got no idea. I don't think it went that high. I think it was probably about, 15 foot or something. It was pretty bloody high.
Yeah.
But I only noticed today. So they hit us, and in the impact of them hitting us, we started to roll backwards. And as we've rolled backwards, our disc has hit the outer arena. The kind of I-beam yellow section that goes around the arena, the spikes.
Yeah.
We hit that. You can see in the video, we take a chunk out of that. And so the force of us going up wasn't just them hitting us, it was us hitting the ground as well and flinging us up. So God knows how much energy was in that impact, but it was a lot.
So you launched yourselves in the air as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot of force going on there. But on the plus side, we've learnt that whatever we were doing this time definitely made it reliable.
I mean, you went 3 minutes. I mean, I think the only one where you didn't was obviously you got pinned against Duck, and then you couldn't. I think you couldn't self-right against Endgame. So
yeah. So the Endgame fight was we did have a problem. So it was all still working electrically. All the drive was still working. The weapon motor was still going, but somehow, I'm not sure how, but I said how we went disc to disc when we landed back down.
Yeah.
In that impact, somehow our weapon belt got ripped off. So
that was it.
Yeah. So you can see him in the fight pointing at the floor, like Sam saying, "Turn it back on." I'm like, "There's no point." But yeah. So we found some things. We found quite a few things that we can improve for season 5 if we get it. We've already started designing for that, so
good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Hopefully we can do a bit better next time.
Well, obviously it's the only trophy that's missing off your shelf, I suppose, at this point. I mean, I think it's fair to say that this is a marked improvement after last time you were there.
Yeah,
do you feel like there's maybe a target on your back now going back, or?
Not really, because we're not. I wouldn't class. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being. It's you're kind of naturally quite judgmental about your own performances.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't class ourselves as one of the big kind of 5 BattleBots teams. So yeah. I think until you get into that kind of league, not really.
Okay.
I think a lot of teams that I didn't expect came over to us after our fights were like, shit, that's actually really good, So that was quite cool. Yeah, it was. We've definitely got some improvements to make, and I think we could go a bit further next time, hopefully.
Yeah, you got some room to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what else to say about it. I think that was pretty well described, really. I mean, fair play to Minotaur, but
I'll tell you what. When we got there, there's always kind of like the first day, everyone's kind of taking their stuff out the crates and setting up on the benches, and like once you've kind of got all your stuff unpacked, everyone kind of has a little walk around the pits and they goes, "Oh, that's nice," or "Oh, I wouldn't have done it like that," or everyone has a little opinion on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I went to the Minotaur guys because I met them back in 2016, and went over to say hi and all this kind of stuff. And I looked at the new version of Minotaur and I was like, "Oh, you guys are gonna win." That was literally what I said to them, because you can't really see, like, on the previous version of Minotaur, I kind of looked at it and thought, there's a few things I wouldn't have done that way on that machine. And I went over and looked at it this time. I was like, oh shit, you've got it right now. But
I'm hoping they have.
Yeah. But during the competition, when they're having the spin up problems and all this kind of stuff that they're having, part of me was like, oh, thank God for that. And then the other part was like, I hope they get it going. So, unfortunately, they got it going at just the wrong time for us.
Yeah, just as you're about to fight them, okay, now it works. Of course it does.
Yeah, just my luck.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have to be given a lot of credit, obviously, for, as you say, for turning the season around. Really, I mean, it was looking so desperate at the start, and they really, obviously, they've worked so hard on getting the machine ready to go again. Obviously, their reward has been justified. They're in the top 16 where they should be. Yeah. I think that's fair to say. But
definitely, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what a good fight as well. It's just so good. It's great to watch.
Thanks, guys.
you put on a good performance against a machine when you make one of the scariest guys in BattleBots cry.
Yeah.
I love him. I love him for bits. He's awesome. He seems like a great character. He's a great driver and all, but that guy is terrifying. And you put up a good fight. And it was probably the fight of the night if you ask me. As it should have been. It was the main event. So
I'd say so. Yeah, absolutely. I think as you say, the base is solid. I mean, let's be real here. Like you battered machines left, right, and centre this season. Obviously, didn't just kind of fell short this season, but
yeah, we've got a few like obvious design tweaks that we want to make that we've already kind of thought about. So yeah, hopefully we can implement those and it works out well for next time. And we can do a bit better. That's the aim.
Well, obviously, you've got to bring it home. You've got to bring the trophy home, obviously.
Exactly, yeah. I'll try.
The England football team can do it. Surely you could.
But now you see, remember I said I couldn't bring Cobalt to that robot event the other week?
Yes.
Because of a few scratches.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it was, you bought a good substitute. You bought Carbide over, it was great to see. Great to see the old girl back out again.
That thing is surprisingly thick, by the way. I'm just going to say that now. It looks tiny on the television. It looks tiny on the TV, but it's surprisingly big. Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers. But like the damage that was done by Minotaur didn't really get shown. So there's kind of 2 layers of 1/4-inch thick armox that go around the front of Cobalt, and it's welded all the way around. So they managed to break off about 1 meter of welding, and I thought, maybe more welding's crap. And then, like, the fact was that they actually ripped the panel in half. So they actually cracked 1/4-inch armox that was about, probably about 7 inches, like, deep, or long even. So to do that, the amount of force is just ridiculous. So
yeah,
obviously,
those are the kind of physics that just don't make sense when they happen.
Yeah. Well, to sledgehammer something that's 250 pounds, 15 foot in the air is pretty impressive as well.
Yeah. This is true.
You were in the air for about 3 seconds.
I was like waiting for you to come down.
Think you were coming back down. The ones in the roof.
As I say, like, obviously you had to bring Cobalt back to the UK. Maybe they just like, I'll give him a hand, fling it over for them. Hey, Mitch, anything more to add?
I mean, I was just taking all that in, to be honest. But to be quite honest, when you're making the former number 2 robot, shit themselves, I think you're doing something right. But yeah, I didn't know which way to call it. I went for Cobalt in my predictions, but I would have been sad either way, losing number 2 robot or, Cobalt who could get the BattleBots trophy and hey, bring it home. Because they've won just about everything else. So it was a great match, fantastic match.
Yeah. The thing for us as well, we put in so much work going into that, and me and Sam were kind of thinking, do we want to do this whole competition again? Because the amount of work and hours and other stuff that you have to sacrifice going into it. Before that fight, we were kind of like, we'll call it a day after this. And then we did that fight, and we were like, we got to do all this again now.
He just pulled you back in.
He's bit, man. He's bit.
So
I'll call it a day. 2 year olds, man.
Yeah, I don't really know what else to add to that other than that's it for this episode. Obviously, we have our top 16 now. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how it plays out. But yeah. That's all there is to say. Please come back next year, Dave. Obviously, hopefully we'll get another season for you to come back and some great fights for this season. So thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
No worries. With that said, I've been Sam Elliott 64.
Oh, and as no one teaches it was Guru.
Steve's gone again. Great. Mitch, take it away.
I've been TheOrcCorp.
And I've been Dave Moulds.
And the 3 of us. Oh, he is here. Excellent. He's back. Excellent stuff. Right. The 3 of us at least will see you next week, hopefully, for the start of the top 16. We'll see you for that. Bye bye.